Samhita. And we're doing Nakshatras as described in Brihat Samhita by Varahamihira. Let's see what we're up to. I believe we're up to Jyestha. Right, so he's saying if you're born on the calendar day associated with a certain nakshatra, then there's certain careers that are more ideal for you to follow up. By studying this, we can get a glimpse into the mind of Varahamihira to see how he's thinking about what he thinks about these nakshatras. So, all right, let's see what he says about Jyestha. If you're born in the day of Jyestha, he uses the word valiant, which he also used for Anuradha. Good descent. Now maybe that means have a good family. Wealthy, famous, disposed to cheat others of their property, fond of traveling, rulers of provinces or commanders of armies. So basically, you're an Indra type. So you're likely to be associated with... I'm just confused if this is working right. I think it's working right. Let's pretend it's working right. Let me just ask. It's probably not, but then who cares? So if you're a Jyestha native, then you're Indra-like, so you'll be good with things that Indra is good at. So Indra is a king, and Indra is a political king. So dealing with politics, dealing with intrigue, dealing with things that require secrecy, dealing with strategy, manipulation, things like that. Hi, everybody. That's the way to go. All right. Any questions about Jyestha? It's very simple. Good for team management, let's say. Also, so good with secrecy and team management strategy. Next, Mula. Oh, valiant, so ambitious too. Has that in common with Anuradha. Next is Mula. Those born in the day of Mula are druggists, heads of men, dealers in flowers, roots, fruits, and seeds, and will be rich and will delight in garden work. Jill, yeah, definitely. Valiant also means jealous, so this applies also to Anuradha. Okay, so valiant means ambitious. Ambitious implies jealous. Let me see something. Okay. Bardo, is this based on your book about nakshatras or on this text only? It's only based on this text, but it's me reading the text. So the same person who wrote the book about nakshatras explaining this other text to you, naturally you're going to get my mental filter. All right. Now you see how Mula is described as having to do with drugs, medicines? Why is that? And how is this relevant to coronavirus? Mula is, first of all, the word literally means roots. Second of all, the constellation literally is at the southern root of the ecliptic zone. It's even kind of below the southern root of the ecliptic zone. If you want to know what it is in modern terms of stars, it's like the tail of the scorpion. So it sinks way down to the south. It's like the bowl. The tail of the scorpion kind of curves back up on the other side and forming a bowl, and that bowl down there is Mula. So it's also like a bowl holding something. It's down on the bottom. It's down under the ground. It's called the roots, and that's where medicines come from. Medicines primarily come from roots of things, the roots of plants or different parts of plants. And so Mula has always been, since Varahamihira's book at least, always been attached to medicines. Even if you think of it as a tail of the scorpion, you get poison from that, and poison is part of medicine. So Mula is good with poisons, drugs, medicines, and this is why it's related to coronavirus. This could have been a heads up to people trying to predict that there was a health virus on the way, a eclipse or a serious conjunction in Mula, or when you have both at the same time, as we had in December, end of December. So let's not forget that from now on. Although I'm sure the next time will be something different that it won't really come up. However, if James Kelleher is accurate, then several previous times in the past, then the same conjunctions around the Mula area or eclipses in the Mula area triggered significant pandemics. Ayush says, Jupiter in Mula Trikona, 0 degrees of Sagittarius, is planetary dignity and signs degree-based or nakshatra-based? It's sign-based. And the degrees are some additional considerations for other calculations that are part of Shadbala. Memories wants to know what medical breakthroughs that would come up in Mula. Maybe you have a positive conjunction in Mula, then you get good medicine. You have a negative conjunction in Mula, then you have bad medicine. We had a very negative conjunction in Mula in December. It was the southern node at the southernmost part of the sun's course, with the moon at the southernmost part of the sun's course, with Jupiter at the southernmost part of the sun's course. In addition with Saturn nearby and K2, right, southern node. So that's a super southern and all that kind of difficult stuff going on in Mula. So you have negative medicine things. Conversely, I think, let's see what he says about Ashwini, Shatabishak. These are other ones typically related with medicines. The coronavirus became crazy during the month of where the moon came from Satabishak. If it was northerly is more positive, or if the planets involved aren't like eclipsed, like maybe it's a Moon Jupiter conjunction or Jupiter. I don't know, something slower. Jupiter Mars conjunction maybe. Alrighty. I'm just wondering if I didn't do something right, because there's no activity on the Facebook. Anyway, Mula, that's Mula. So you can deal with things that have to do with the roots. Basically, that's his advice. Right? He says, you be druggists, you could deal with flowers, roots, fruits, and seeds. You'll delight in garden work or agriculture, etc. Now let's take a look at Purashad. Go ahead and ask if you have any more questions about Mula. Those born on the lunar day of Purashada will be of gentle manners. Purva Ashada, gentle manners. Interesting. Yay, Donna. One person showing that there's some activity on Facebook, and it's the best person. All right, so Purvashada, gentle manners, fond of sea voyages, truthful, cleanly, wealthy, will delight in earthwork, will be boatmen, dealers in fruits and flowers. So he's a lot of water stuff, huh? What we're doing here is reading Varahamihira's book, Brihat Samhita, and now we're up to the chapter on Nakshatras. And so he's got one statement per nakshatra saying, if you're born on this particular calendar day, here's my suggestions for your career. So we're first just trying to make sense out of his suggestions, and then let that inform us about what he thinks that these nakshatras signify. So with Purvashada, he's saying a lot about waters. And anybody want to guess why? Why in the world would he say a lot about water with Purvashada? He didn't say anything here about you should be Hitler. He didn't say anything about you should be strategist, warrior, anything like that, team builder, unless it's hidden somewhere in here. Everything he's talking about is water. Why? Yes, Muertes, you got this correct. Because the god of Purvashada is rivers. Apus is water. So what he's thinking is, this is the nakshatra for rivers. So if you're born on the day of this nakshatra, you should work with water and rivers. So you should be gentle like water, which is also strong, but gently strong. Gentle like water, like to travel on water, be clean like water, have water's properties. Be clean like water, be transparent like water, truthful. Be wealthy like water. You can produce happiness and prosperity. Delight in earthwork. So you're going to like to fertilize things because it's water. Keep things fertile. Travel on water, be boatmen, be dealers in fruits and flowers of the water. Fruits of the water is fish. Flowers of the water is wakame and nori and all the seafoods. Muertes wants to know if apas is mainly water or liquids in general. Water is the basis for all liquids. So why differentiate? But apas means rivers. So it's not just water even, it's clean flowing water. All right. That was interesting. So I wonder, this is a rework on my particular thinking about Purvashada. He didn't say anything about elephants. He didn't say anything about war or assembling armies or anything like that. Alliances. He didn't say anything about that. Doesn't mean that you have to throw out all those thinkings. Just be aware that Varahamihira didn't mention those things in this particular chapter on the Nakshatras. Maybe when we're done with the book, by the time we're done with the whole book, we might figure out why. Okay, next one is Uttarashada. Those born on the lunar day of Uttarashada, no, we did Mula. Those born on the lunar day of Uttarashada will be chief ministers or wrestlers. Wrestlers. Hey. Chief ministers or wrestlers will keep elephants and horses. Here's your elephants. Will be religious. Will be men of principle. Soldiers, happy or of bright appearance. All right, so this is typical. This is what we would have expected, I believe. No? You would expect this from Uttarashada. Uttarashada is signified by an elephant. It's very strong. It's abhijit. It's conquering. It's kind of cold today. Yeah, actually, it's very cold today. It was weird, strangely windy yesterday, and now it's really cold. So chief minister says the only weird thing here is wrestlers. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? So I think you just abstract that Uttarashada people do not shy away from fighting. They like to fight. Keeping elephants and horses also indicates that they're at the ready for war. But there are fighters on principle, generally. Right? The nakshatra itself is fighting on a principle, or fighting for some purpose. It's not just, they don't just like to fight. Like, they're not violent. Any questions about Uttarashada? Okay. Then we're going to go on. What would happen if you have Saturn in Uttarashada? I would think that Saturn in Uttarashada is nice because it has a lot of the things that go along well with Uttarashada. You just have it a little bit less on the happy and bright appearance. Twist that a little bit down. But this isn't a class really about how to... This isn't a class about how to do those kind of interpretations. We're just trying to read the book. Those who are born on the lunar day of Shravana will be cunning, active, efficient at work, bold, virtuous, God-fearing, and truthful. So that's Shravana's nature is it listens well. So people born on Shravana day will be... Now, what's cunning? Cunning means smart, but cunning means smart by listening. Like paying a lot of attention and then knowing what to do because you paid a lot of attention. So things don't escape the attention of a Shravana person. In this way, it's similar with Hasta. Active means an efficient workman. Shravana is associated with Shudra, which means doing work. So being activity-oriented, work-oriented, and working well, working smartly, working efficiently, working under good direction. Ooh. Efficient workman, bold. So it's kind of confident in moving forward. Happy and of bright appearance. No, that's Uttarashada. Bold, virtuous, God-fearing, and truthful. So they're kind of good at listening. So if you're Shravana native, Shravana is very good at listening. You listen carefully, listen well. You can follow instructions well. People who are counselors or guides love to meet Shravana people. In fact, Uttarashada people love to meet Shravana people, and Shravana people love to meet Uttarashada people. Because Uttarashada loves to give instructions, and Shravana loves to take instructions. No, Bardo, I tried to say that explicitly. That they're not just barbaric fighters, Uttarashada. They're fighters for a purpose. But they engage in fight. They engage in fights. Now, I have an Uttarashada ascendant. I've actually, maybe in elementary school, I got into elementary school fights with other boys. But since that time, not even close. But constantly in intellectual fights, right? So, not every chart pulls out the same permutation of a basic symbol. But the basic symbol is the same, wrestling. So I'm constantly wrestling with people, but I'm never physically wrestling with them. So you have to, when you're an interpreter of symbols, you have to have that thing in mind, that the symbols can permutate like that. So you have to be able to take the essence and understand how it can permeate. Thank you, Madeline. So now we're going to talk about Shravishta. We'll do this one. Yeah, we're covering a lot today. This is interesting. So Shravishta is Dhanishta, right? Ayush has an interesting question if I'm going to do Tarabala readings in the future. I've been doing them every month, but this month I couldn't. It's just, I don't know what it is, too much stress on my mind or too many other things I have to deal with, that I couldn't find it in my soul to get it together for this month. So hopefully next month I'll get back to the monthly Tarabala reading. I'm not going to answer any specific chart questions. Those who are born in Shravishta will be shameless, weak with friendship, haters of women, but generous, rich, and free from temptation. Now this is very interesting. We heard about a hater of women before. The hater of woman that we heard of before was Magga. Magga is very male, or male, men's club, boys club, Nakshatra. Now Dhanishta is, and what do we hear with weak friendship? Weak of friendship, we heard that same phrase with Swati. Now here in Shravishta we hear that like Magga, it's not good with femininity or females, and with like Swati, it's not good with friendship. Now, why? What are you waiting for, Murtis? So, you guys all need to get readings. That now we're studying a book. Listen and learn. I'll tell you one thing. Most of our problems in life come from not being able to do Shravana properly, not being able to absorb information properly. Hi, Kami-sama. Because all this good information is going over our head or under our head or the side of our head. Because instead of listening to what God and the gods and everybody are telling you, you're listening only for a certain thing that you expect to hear. So my best advice for every single person in the world is listen better. See what the person is saying and listen to it and learn what they're saying. Ask questions about what they're saying. Forget about your own questions. You'll get the answers to your questions that way. So, Pardo has an interesting point. Maybe Dhanishta tends to objectify women. Maybe Dhanishta tends to objectify women. Yeah. See, one very famous Dhanishta, who's a very famous celebrity with a Dhanishta moon, I believe, or maybe an ascendant. That's Marilyn Monroe. Right. So I wouldn't exactly call it's not the same kind of a hater as woman as Magga is. The problem with this live chat is it distracts me too, because it's like, imagine if you're teaching in a class and the students are talking to each other while you're teaching. So stop and listen, otherwise I kick you out. Stop. All right. Weak friendship. Well, Marilyn Monroe, yeah, it's difficult to keep. Now, why? It's because of moving. Okay, that's it. Now, last chance. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so Jenna has a different thing. So what I want to say about Dhanishta and what he's saying here is it's a different kind of... first of all, what I want to say about this is I would not have expected this. I would not have expected to read this description of Shrivishta, because my concept of Shrivishta is the word literally means the desired object or the thing that you want. And therefore, Shrivishta is actually favorable to females. It's favorable to beauty, sexiness, desirability. So I'm surprised to hear him say hater of women. You know, this is weird enough that, let me see if, I don't even have my glasses. Anyway, let me see if I can get Sanskrit on this. Maybe he missed like a prefix or something, and it's actually lovers of women. So where is that one? Here it is. This one has Sanskrit. Now we got to get up to chapter something. We got to go. Come on, give me another chapter. My God. Okay, Saturn. Sorry, it takes a while, but let's do this. It's worth it. Just to check this before we digest it. So we're on chapter 15. And here's 12 only. 13. 14. And 15, yay. Uttar Palguni Hasta Chitra Swati Vishakha Anuradha Jyestha Mula Purvashada Uttarashada Shravana Dhanishta. All right, now let's try to read this. Vasubhe. So he doesn't even refer to it as Shravishta or Dhanishta. He actually calls it the Vasu's place. And there's the hint. I'm surprised nobody said this. Anyway. Men without pride. Men obnoxious to their wives. Fickle friends. Men without pride, eunuchs. This is totally different. These two translations are totally different. Let's compare these two translations first, just to have fun. The one translation is those Shravishta shameless. Okay, so that means without pride. So that is mano mukta. Shy. So shameless is a bad translation. Shy. Klabi Vala Sao Rida. So it's feminine. So he's saying that it's a very feminine nakshatra. And actually, the translation, that's just only the English missed this whole thing about shyness, weak, timidness, non-manliness. This is what it is. This is what it is. Okay, let me get the word. Obnoxious to their wives. So it's not haters of women, but it's hated by women. Not the type liked by a woman. So what he's actually saying about Dhanishta is it's a feminine nakshatra, but it's not the kind of femininity that works well, kind of like perceived as weakness, femininity. So it's having shyness when you should be strong, having instability when you should be stable, and being kind of a wimp. So not really, wimpiness is connected with Shravishta. But then he says generous, rich. So that's similar in both translations, and I could see it in Sanskrit. And then also Shama means peaceful, peace-loving, or not very Mars-like. Not very Mars-like. Misty, I think you can get that. But what we've worked out here is that the first translation that we were going on, just trusting the translation, was actually pretty bad. Because it's not supposed to be haters of women. It's supposed to be not very well liked by women. So it's not the kind of manly man that is typically liked by women, but you get virtue and generosity kind of thing. A very generous, forgiving type of person. A person that doesn't want to have conflict. All right, from tomorrow, I'm going to keep both of these translations open side by side. Because for the first couple of chapters, they were basically identical, but so I stopped using them both side by side. But now I'm looking at both. And it's interesting how they're using different wording. And the one on the right at least has Nagari script, so if we feel like slowing down, I could take a look at that too. Okay, my friends, that's the end of Brihat Samhita's stream for today. We got up to Shravana, so next time, tomorrow, we'll start at Satyabhishak. And in a couple of minutes, we'll switch over to the Bhagavatam, where we're going to hear about Mahabharata, Arjuna, and all those cool stories. So see you in a second or two. Thank you. Now, how do you do it again? Oh, I should stop this one too. So to stop this one, I go like this. End it. Thank you, Bardo.